Hey friends, welcome to La Femme en Bleu. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe and wanted to kind of keep you up to date on what's going on. Excuse me. So, my son had the visit with his father, and he came back unfortunately with a vengeance. Um, because his father kind of brainwashed him, told him that I was keeping him away from him, from the other children. And so, uh, my only defense is really the courts made the decision and I had nothing to do with it. But honestly, he's only 9. I can't really give him details in terms of why the decision was made. And so of course he's constantly pointing the fingers at me, saying it's my fault, that he wants to talk to the judge and so forth, and it's unbelievable. And I don't know, for those of you who may not know the backstory, I have I had adopted 2 other children with my ex, and so I have my natural born youngest with the 2 adopted, but they haven't been able, excuse me, they haven't been able to cross path because the judge made a decision because of how my ex was, um, not even lack of supervision of the other 2. They felt that it would be best to not add any more to the chaos, really. At the time when the decision was made, my son was younger. He was about 6. And so the house was filthy, the way that he was maintaining the home. The kids were not, and still are not, unfortunately. The oldest are not doing well in school. So he really does not have a good handle on what's going on currently. So, or even what was going on back then. I mean, the kids are a little bit older now, so of course they're taking care of themselves, not necessarily my ex um, taking care of them, but he's a guardian. That's what we can call it. There's an adult in the house, and now that he has a significant other, his woman, she's physically there too, but um, she doesn't really uh, communicate with the kids. I want to say um, they see each other. There's no greeting, nothing. It's almost as if she's visibly there, but she's not. Um, so I don't understand that chemistry, because when you marry a man, you marry, you knew he had children prior to marrying him, you kind of take on that responsibility as well. At least you should, as a step person in the relationship. So I'm really disappointed how she treats them. Or, and of course, some might say, well, you're not physically there. You're kind of doing the same thing as well. Actually, I'm not. I cared for them the first several years of their lives. My ex was impossible to live with. And so, again, when I left to go on vacation, I had business training that I had to go to, and at that point, COVID started. Just to give a little backstory, and I couldn't travel back. And at the time, I didn't want to go back. I didn't want to see him necessarily. I did miss the kids tremendously, and I called every hour on the hour that I could, but I just didn't want to see him. It wasn't in the picture. Yeah, all 4 of us would have been together now, but I just didn't want to have to deal with him, and he was part um, of their lives, and so I couldn't. I just couldn't go back and claim them because he wouldn't have allowed me to do that. Although he's a lousy father, but he feels that, okay, well, as long as they're in the home, that's the best that he can provide for them. But if you really want to know what's going on, for those of you who are new here, go back, just look at some of those videos, those past videos, and I'm sure you'll be able to put the pieces together. But, you know, yeah, I couldn't discipline the kids at the time when I was there because he was constantly calling. Not sure, is it social services, to come into the house. Meanwhile, the house was filthy. So, we were risking them taking the kids to a foster home. Um, I mean, I maintained the home the best that I could, but he did not want the kids to clean their room. He wanted them to just live. And I get that, but kids need discipline. And I just think he's a horrible adult. You know, he just didn't know how to be an adult for himself. And so he didn't know how to be a parent. Unfortunately, he did not have the upbringing to be able to, I guess, trickle it down, to share, um, his experience with the kids. Because the only way you can be a better parent is if you had that exposure. And if you didn't have that exposure, then you teach yourself how to become a better parent because there are so many self-help books out there. And the way that he knows to be a better parent is really to let the kids do whatever they want to do, which is what my 9-year-old is dealing with right now. And he says it all the time. When I'm with daddy, I'm free. I can eat soda. I can eat candy. I can stay up late and play games. No discipline, nothing. So he thinks I'm pretty tough on him now because of the liberty and freedom that he has with his father. So I'm not sure. It's a tough situation, but my prayer is that he will, as he gets older, that he will see that he needs discipline, and that I'm not being tough on him, that I'm just simply being a parent. And so that's where we are today. It's not the best picture for sure, and it's draining when you think you're doing the best that you can and the other parent is not doing anything at all to complement what you've done, what you put together. Um, Ultimately, he's destroying the discipline that I have put together, or just the, being able to care for a child for the past 9 years. And it's not like he's been in the picture. And even with the two adopted kids, I did, those kids were very well disciplined. Yes, they had issues in terms of being able to make up for the first few years of their lives, being in the orphanage. That takes time, and I didn't understand the whole process of connecting and nurturing, um, for them to get to where they needed to get to. I cared for them, I loved them, but they needed extra. Um, and that's one of the things that I wish I had known more about adoption prior to adopting, and for those of you who are looking to adopt children, do your research. Try to be where you need to be emotionally, because my marriage wasn't where it needed to be, and that should have been my focus prior to bringing any children into the house. I should have tried to build my marriage where it needed to be, and we were seeing counselors, so I thought I was. Um, sometimes when I think about it, what I should have done is just, I should have just exited that marriage, you know, um, and not even consider having children with that man. But, it was tricky, because we were in church together, and sometimes when you are in a community, you kind of want to, you put up a facade, really, you want the community to see what's not there, as if we're a happy couple, as if we're doing what we need to do, but behind closed doors, we really weren't. And I'm not necessarily going to point the fingers at him, although as a man, he did not step up. But I know for me, at some point, I checked out. I just didn't want to be with him. I felt that he did not put the effort to be a man of purpose, not at work and not in the marriage. And so I knew I deserved better, and I knew I could do better. So I checked out. I checked out mentally, physically, emotionally. So that's pretty much it. All right, friends. I'll keep you posted. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to my stories. These are not necessarily bells and whistles stories, but just stories that I'm sharing so that if you are in my situation, to do better and be better and recognize the signs. All right? Thank you for tuning in to La Femme Bleu. Until next time. Sorry that this camera is a little bit shaky. I didn't put it on a stationary stand, but I appreciate you. And until next time, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that button. Hit it. Hit that button. All right, friends. Bye-bye.